To print your seamless linoleum, you're going to need your foam dish, black ink, roller, your block, some scrap paper, your prepared good copy paper, and you're going to want a marker. Before I ink up this linoleum, I'm gonna do myself a big favor. I'm going to mark the block. I'm gonna just flip it over and I'm going to draw an up arrow. This way, when I ink it up and I go to flip it, I know that it needs to be facing this direction so I don't accidentally print it upside down. That would be very upsetting. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as the up direction. I'm going to get some ink on my dish, just a little bit to start. Set it aside. Because we're printing it multiple times, there's a chance that we will need more ink. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to spread it out on my roller, going both directions until I get that nice even distribution on the roller. I want to hear that Velcro sound. So once it's nice and even, I'm going to start to roll on my linoleum. Now you'll see it's very exciting that the ink is only going to catch those high areas. So I'm going to make sure it's very even, make sure I get those edges, but be careful not to use too much ink. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I'm going to very carefully start in the upper left-hand corner of my paper. I'm going to take my block and I'm going to carefully hold with both edges and do my very best to line it up in that box I drew. So once I let go, that's it, I'm done. So I'm going to then use as even pressure as I can with my hands to essentially stamp this. I'm gonna hold one hand and use my other hand to apply pressure with my spoon and then carefully kind of swap, making sure I don't move it because that is the last thing we want. Try to get it even all the way across and then hold my breath and carefully lift up my block and it looks awesome. So I'm now going to ink it up again, remembering that there's already ink on the block, so I shouldn't need too much. I'm gonna slide my paper up so it doesn't get too icky. I wanna keep it as clean as I can, get a little bit more ink on my roller and carefully re-ink my block. I really want to be careful doing this because it's easy to accidentally over ink and then you lose details where you've carved. So just enough ink to get it wet again, carefully sliding, making sure my arrow is faced up again. I'm going to move on to the next block and I'm going to do my very best again to line it up. Once I put it down, that's it. So if I'm off a little bit, I just kind of have to go with it and do the best I can. So that's certainly not going to be perfect, but we're going to do the best we can. I'm going to, again, apply pressure and I'm going to try to get a nice even print, really using firm pressure, and peel up my print and you can see my fish matched up. So I'm going to continue to print. I'll go to the next block here and then I'll come down, making sure that I am inking in between and that my arrow is facing up each and every time. here you can see all 9 of my linoleum prints. If you find that you're getting a lot of blurring or too much ink is bleeding, what you'll want to do is stop, wash off your plate with water, and let it thoroughly dry. So that means waiting till the next day to continue to print. But if you're careful and not adding too much ink and applying even pressure, you should be able to do all 9 in one sitting. Once this completely dries, we're gonna go ahead and measure off our borders, trim it nice and neat, and give it an addition.